stocks continue to crash. So I started shorting the market. I started shorting the market about a week ago, although I was talking about it about a month ago, kind of February of 2023. And here we are again with stocks crashing. Credit Suisse looks like it has problems. Silicon Valley Bank has already had problems and gone bust. And I think the biggest thing that, or the biggest reason that stocks could continue to have problems is because balance sheets don't always show you what companies are investing in, and particularly with financials, banks. When banks, they have to invest in certain places to balance their balance sheets, as it were. And in 2020, with the market crash that I actually shorted in March 2020, on CNBC, all the bankers, all the companies, all the the commercial banks, the investment banks, funds, traders, macro big investors, they were all basically talking about going out of stocks, going away from risk assets and moving into buying treasury bills and bonds. Now, bonds, I'm not a bond investor. I invest in equities, in property, in startups. I don't really touch bonds because typically they don't yield very high interests. They're not that interesting to someone like me, a growth investor. But what happens to the value of bonds? Essentially, when you buy a bond, you're buying it for a long period of time, sometimes 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And it's based on a coupon or an interest rate, of 1 or 2% or whatever. And banks bought them when interest rates were very low. So they might have locked in for 10 years at 1%. And now with interest rates so high, 4 or 5%, the value of those bonds has completely plummeted. Now, the thing that I think could cause the stock market to crash is we don't know how many banks out there are exposed to interest rate risk, i.e. how much on that could cause a run on banks. And when 1 or 2 banks go bankrupt, a lot of the liabilities, a lot of the assets that those banks hold could have continuing problems, a domino effect with other banks and other institutions, because all banks are kind of connected to a certain extent, because it's a capital system, it's capitalism, and that capital is shared often between different banks and different organizations. So, and primarily because nobody actually knows, what all the banks are holding, this causes a lot of doubt. So it might mean that markets start to decline because of this doubt and this fear. And that's precisely why I'm continuing to short. I'm going to pay attention to my short positions. I've got options for anyone that understands this. I've got options that run out in September of this year. I'm filming this in March, so I've got plenty of time. They're already massively in the money. I'm already up about 60% since Monday, which is pretty good. But anyway, I thought I'd kind of voice my thoughts on this live. I want to try to make more content. I thought this was a good way of doing it. Perfect. All right. If you're interested in learning more about this, make sure to like and subscribe.